In this video, I will be demonstrating how to use the ducting tool, and specifically we will be looking at a non-raised floor data center with a ducted cold air supply. I already have the rack rows and the cracks set up in the room. I really only placed a couple of objects and then used the cloning tool in order to make my room. Many data centers tend to be symmetrical, and this is true with data centers that have ducted supplies or return. Again, we will be building a ducted supply. When building a duct system, the first step is to always start at the crack and work your way towards the rack. Our first step will be building the duct, which sits directly above the cracks. As you can see, I first drag a duct into the room. Then I right-click and select Open Duct Designer. The first thing I need to do is change the orientation to be parallel with the Z-axis. Next, I'm going to change its position in the X-axis in order for the duct to be directly above the cracks. I'm going to change the dimensions of the duct to be a 3x3 instead of a 2x2. This is a main supply duct, so I want it to be a bit larger. Now we want to make the duct the length of the room. I start by moving the duct back to start at one end of the room, and then next all I have to do is select Smart Length, and the duct size will automatically be adjusted to be the length of the room. The Smart Length feature will extend the length of the duct until it hits a wall or another object such as a block. As you can see, our first duct is in good shape. It's directly above the cracks, and it's the length of the room. Now that we are happy with our first duct, it's time to attach it to the cracks underneath it. We have to use a form of a subduct called a connecting duct in order to connect the duct to the crack. First, left click on where do you want the subduct, and then right click and select Add Duct. Next, it's very important to change the length of your duct to be shorter than what you actually need. Then you will just select the connecting duct button, and this will be done. I decided to use a 1 foot length. By using a length shorter than necessary, the duct can see what it's trying to connect to, and then successfully make the connection. I will continue using this method in order to add connecting ducts to the rest of the cracks on this side of the room. Now that we are done with this main duct on this side of the room, it's time to build one for the cracks on the other side. I go through the same procedure for building a duct on this side of the room as I did on the right side. I actually could have used the clone tool on the duct on the right side in order to make a copy, but I forgot to do this before I made the subduct connections to the crack. I quickly confirm that both ducts start at 8 feet, and as you can see, they do. I go through the same process of adding connecting ducts in order to connect the main duct with the cracks. Next, I am ready to build the duct system, which will supply cold air to the rack rows. There are several methods possible for building the rest of the system. However, first I will show you the method which uses subducts off of our existing ducting. I start by left-clicking where I want to build our first subduct. Then I right-click and select Add Duct. Next, I change the duct's dimensions in order for it to be a 2 foot by 2 foot subduct. Next, I use the Smart Link feature in order to connect the duct to the other side of our system. At this point, all we have to do is add diffusers to the bottom of the subduct, and we are done with a specific piece of the subduct system. The main issue with building a subduct off of our main system is that it cannot be cloned. This is fine in a data center where there is minimal symmetry, but in a data center such as this one, the redundancy of building many subducts is time-consuming and a bad use of time. Instead, I will use a different method to build the rest of the ductwork. Right now I'm just going to use the duct designer in order to delete this duct. In order to clone a certain part of our system, we have to start with a new duct. Next, we use the duct designer tool in order to build our duct. I start to bring our duct to the back of the room and start to position it into exactly the same spot where our previous one was. Next, I'm going to start changing the X position of this duct in order to get it closer to one of our main ducts. I'm still going to leave a small gap so we can use a connecting duct. Next, I'm going to use the Add Subduct feature and position it to start in the X-min direction. We want to keep using the same technique of making our subduct smaller than it needs to be, and then clicking the Connecting Duct feature. Next, we need to add diffusers to the bottom in order to let the supply air go to the racks. In order to add a diffuser, left-click where you want it and then right-click and select Add Diffuser. You can then change its position in the percent area open. I continue to add a sufficient amount of diffusers. Because we made that duct from scratch, it can be cloned. Now we want to take a good look at how many clones we want to make and what kind of offset we want to use. I decided to try to make clones using a 12-foot offset and make 5 copies. As you can see, this works very nicely. Now we are ready to submit the simulation. As you can see, the model ran and we have results. I'm going to make another video which details the results from this data center and uses several methods in order to improve the performance. I hope this video was helpful and clearly explained how to properly model ducting within CoolSim. Thank you.